We left off the last video with both these engines out of the cars. We're picking up this one where I've stripped down the good engine and now I'm putting it back together and giving it a clean up, ready to go back into the car.
I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire.
So the engine is now, it's really as clean as I'm willing to make it. So what we're going to do is start fitting up a few parts to it. Just stuff to get out of the way, like the manifold, that can go on before I rebuild the inlet manifold. Now, the manifold is pretty, but we are going to cover it up with this, because for anyone that knows, these engines were pretty inefficient and they actually convert a lot of their energy into heat. So we're going to wrap up most of the exhaust to save too much heat soak inside of the engine bay. I'm stripping down and cleaning up the inlet manifold, which includes removing about 15 years of carbon buildup. Very much to be expected from these engines. While I'm here, I also go ahead and polish the exterior just to make it look a little nicer.
Temptation within, mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desire.
I've got the exhaust manifold fitted up. I'm also giving the inlet a clean. Now it's time to jump onto the loom. It's a bit of a rat's nest, as you can see. So this is just the engine loom. What I need to do though is I intend to run my ECU and the other electronics in the car. So I need to kind of rewire this just to move everything around. This is the main harness, runs to the ECU and stuff, and this would normally come from the front of the engine. I need this to now head in the opposite direction. So I'm going to strip all this cabling down. I've got everything labelled up so I know exactly where it's going. I'm going to strip all the cabling down and I'm going to move everything around into a position that suits me better. I did spend a fair bit of time in this wiring loom, and it might seem pointless for how hidden it is on this car, but it's nice to know it's tidy, and it also helped me to get to grips with it.
Straight to the start of intoxicating want. Linger in touch, these soft words whispered in the dark. Set my heart on fire.
I noticed a bit of oil in the gearbox bell housing of the car this engine came out of, so I thought it best just to remove the sump, give it a good clean up and refit it. Okay, well we've got the engine pretty much assembled, minus a few things. I've got to fit the O2 sensors. I also need to block off the manifold where the air pump would fit. But other than that, the engine's good to go in. So what we need to do next is jump onto the engine bay. What I'm going to do here is, because we've now lost the ECU and the fuse box, I'm going to clean up all these holes. I'm going to weld everything up, scrub everything off, get rid of all the rust, and then give it a nice coat of paint. Then once we've done that, we shall be slotting the engine in. This is mostly about figuring out what bolts and holes are no longer going to be used, and then figuring out a way to get rid of them. You might be wondering why I'm going to so much effort for what's supposed to be a track car. Well, truth be told, I kind of want this to be a nice build. If you go back and look at the Franken Saab, you'll see that thing's pretty much put together with hopes, dreams and a good sense of humour. Whereas this, I actually genuinely want to make a nice race car. So that is what I'm trying to do, one step at a time. Jumping onto the vehicle wiring loom, I'm giving it the same treatment that I did with the engine. I'm basically going to strip all the wiring down and then redirect it where I need it to go. About where we need to be on this, as much of a mess as it looks. Little wipers down here, these are the things I've been able to remove. Washer bottles, indicators, headlights. This is everything that needs to stay in the engine bay, so ABS sensors and a couple of other sensors are set up front. Now we need to get the fuse box and the ECU box inside the cab. The only way I can do that is I need to cut this and these and then route them into the cab and then rewire them all back up. Obviously we can lose probably 2 meters of wiring and then rewire them up in the cab. So that is our next step. On to painting the engine bay. You can see I covered it with some grey high build primer and then went ahead and shot it with some gloss white. As difficult as this engine was to remove, we actually had a pretty easy time getting it back in. The only struggle is actually once you've got the engine in position, it can be quite difficult to get both the engine mounts fitted up. Also went and got ourselves a 42mm triple pass aluminium radiator. This should obviously help with cooling. Moving on to fitting the upper part of the intake manifold. I assume you'd call this the plenum. I'm not really sure on this car. I also go ahead and fit all the plugs, vacuum lines, fuel lines, things like that. Okay, I'm going to call it there. We're pretty close, and I could technically just plug it all in, turn the key and make it start, well, hopefully, but there's still no exhaust on it, and I still need to get all this wiring in through the cab. All the fluids are in there, so it just needs priming, but I'm going to leave that for this one because I need to build an exhaust because I do have neighbours, and yeah. So if you just tune in for the next one, we're going to build an exhaust, pull the back end off, sort all this wiring out and get it to start. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.